Good morning, friends. This morning, we're doing an old thing in a new way again. And in our past, we have had hymn singing for our lightly programmed meeting for worship. This morning, we're going to read poetry. Alan Spiewak and I are going to read 5 poems, and there'll be pauses for centering in between each poem. This morning, I'm starting off with Carrie Newcomer from A Permeable Life, Poems and Essays. And this is the title poem from this collection, A Permeable Life. I want to leave enough room in my heart for the unexpected, for the mistake that becomes knowing, for the knowing that becomes wonder, for the wonder that makes everything porous, allowing in and out all available light. An impermeable life is full to the edges, but only to the edges. It is a limited thing. Like the pause at the center of the breath, neither releasing or inviting, with no hollow spaces for longing and possibility. I would rather live unlocked and more often than not astonished, which is possible if I am willing to surrender what I already think I know. So I will stay open and companionably friendly with all that presses out from the heart and comes in at a slant and shimmers just below the surface of things.
And So, by Amanda Gorman from her new book, Call Us What We Carry, which I think significantly is dedicated for all of us, both hurting and healing, who choose to carry on. And so, it is easy to harp, harder to hope. This truth, like the white blown sky, can only be felt in its entirety, or not at all. The glorious was not made to be piecemeal. Despite being drenched with dread, this dark girl still dreams. We smile like a sun that is never shunted. Grief, when it goes softly, like the exit of that breath we just realized we clutched. Since the world is round, there is no way to walk away from each other, for even then, we are coming back together. Some distances, if allowed to grow, are merely the greatest proximities.
This poem is also by Amanda Gorman from Call Us What We Carry. I selected this poem because this week we not only celebrate Halloween, but also it's All Saints' Day, which some faith traditions call also All Souls' Day. This poem is called Who We Gonna Call? What is writing but the perseveration of ghosts? Cameron Awkward Rich, Essays on the Appearance of Ghosts. We rouse ghosts primarily for answers, meaning we seek ghosts for their memory and fear them for it just the same. our country a land of shades. Yet there are no wraiths but us. If we are to summon anyone or anything, let it be our tender selves. Like ghosts, we have too much to say. We will make do even if in a graveyard. We, like this place, are haunted and hungry. The past is where we pull home, our forms once again fluent in all things bright.
Statues in the Park by Billy Collins from The Trouble with Poetry. Statues in the park. I thought of you today when I stopped before an equestrian statue in the middle of a public square. You, who once introduced me in the code of these noble poses, a horse rearing up with two legs raised, you told me, meant that the rider had died in battle. If only one leg was lifted, the man had elsewhere succumbed to his wounds. And if four legs were touching the ground, as they were in this case, bronze hooves affixed to a stone base, it meant that the man on the horse, this one staring intently over the closed movie theater across the street, had died of a cause other than war. In the shadow of the statue, I wondered about the others who had simply walked through life without a horse, a saddle, a sword. Pedestrians who could no longer place one foot in front of the other. I pictured statues of the sickly recumbent on their cold stone beds. The suicides towing the marble edge. Statues of accident victims covering their eyes, the murdered covering their wounds, the drowned silently treading the air. And there was I, up on a rosy gray block of granite near a cluster of shade trees in the local park, my name and dates pressed into a plaque. Down on my knees, eyes lifted, praying to the passing clouds, forever begging for just one more day.
This poem is the last poem in the collection by Amanda Gorman, Call Us What We Carry, and it's called Closure.
To begin again isn't to go backwards,
but to decide to go. Our story is not a circle carved,
but a spiral, shed, shaped, spinning, shifting inward and outward ad infinitum, like a lung on the bank of speech.
Breathe with us. We disembark both beside and beyond who we were, who we are.
It is a return and a departure.
We spiral on, pushing up and out like a growing thing, making its form out of earth.
In a poem, there's no end, just a place where the page glows, wide and waiting.
Like a lifted hand, poised and paused. Here is our bond, unbordered by bone.
Perhaps Love is how it feels to breathe the same air.
All we have is time, is now. Time takes us on.
How we are moved says everything about what we are to each other.
And what are we to each other,
If
if not everything?